Hello, and welcome to the Bankers Tech Talk video series, taking the pulse of the fintech community around the world. You can watch all previous episodes on thebanker.com/tech talks. I'm Joy Macknight, managing editor of The Banker, and I'm joined this week by Greg Watts, who's CEO and founder of Findr, which is an AI commercial partnership platform that actually brings people together. Greg, thanks so much for joining me today.
Joy, it's a pleasure to join you. Thank you very much, particularly on this lockdown.
So that's what I wanted to talk about, really, about the COVID-19 pandemic and how it's really starting to affect financial services and fintechs and their relationship.
So we started our business, we started Findr actually 4 days before lockdown. We started it on March the 10th, and I think lockdown happened about 4 days later, around about the 14th, somewhere about that. So our platform is all about helping to connect and match businesses, in our case, fintechs and financial institutions, to each other. So we started the business because I was formerly head of market acceleration at Visa Europe, and I was responsible for creating partnerships with banks and retailers and financial institutions across Europe. But it always frustrated me that it took, many months and often many years to create these commercial partnerships. So I went about creating a platform which helps to cut that down to minutes or hours in just a few clicks based on common needs. But I can certainly tell you a little bit more about the platform later. But I know firsthand that so many fintechs in particular struggle to connect with relevant decision makers within target organizations, whether those are banks, acquirers, or retailers. And I also know that on the other side, people like the payment networks, the banks, the acquirers, the big organizations, they also struggle to connect with each other and also with fintechs. So we're building out a platform which fixes all of that, cutting down the time it takes from months or sometimes even years to minutes or hours in just a few clicks. We think it's absolutely terrible that so many fintechs in particular, maybe up to 90%, depending on the sources that you look at, fail within the first year. And if you consider that it takes often maybe a couple of years to create a partnership with a leading bank or other financial institution, they run out of money in the process. So we're trying to fix that.
That is a big issue, isn't it? Which is around the fundraising. So, what are the big issues today in terms of fintechs trying to fundraise?
Fundraising is probably the most difficult thing a fintech or indeed any startup can do. Once they've got their idea and their proposition and they've identified the types of partnerships they want to create with, they then need to raise money in order to fund that idea and to fund that business. And doing it myself right now, fundraising is hard. You need to be very clear with the types of criteria that you want from potential investors. So you need to think about, do you want to partner with high net worth individuals or angel investors or VCs? How much money do you want to raise? What impact will that have on your valuation? So there's a whole bunch of questions that you need to answer and be very clear on before you start raising money. But what our platform does, what Findr does, is it helps fintechs to answer all of those questions. So it helps the fintech to identify those sources of funding and to put in place the criteria for those potential investors, and then it matches the fintech with those what we would see as recommended investors. So we really streamline the whole process of securing funds and securing money.
Okay, and I understand that you use artificial intelligence on the Findr platform. So how does that work, actually?
So we use AI or as part of that, actually, machine learning based on data classifications of potential sources of information. So on the one side, when a user comes onto the platform, to Findr, they can search for their company and they can then see their profile that we've already populated using publicly available information. So we partner with Crunchbase. We also have technology which scours the internet for relevant information about that particular company. So, for example, we'd go to companies' websites and we'd look at annual reports and we'd pull key commercial information or key strategic information. So we populate that profile with information that we can find using publicly available sources. When a user then signs up to the platform, they can edit that profile to tell us the types of partnerships that they're looking for, whether it's partnerships with financial institutions or retailers or with investors. They can edit that profile to tell us what they're looking for. So what's their criteria? So what the AI then does is we created a matching algorithm to then match that fintech based on those criteria with potential partners and investors. On the other side, we work with the financial institutions and the investors. They also sign up, they edit their profiles, and then for each stakeholder within the organization, so whether it's the strategy team or the procurement team or the marketing team, we gather individual requirements for individual stakeholders within those organizations. So all of a sudden, we can facilitate a match between key decision makers who have expressed an interest in what the fintech has to offer. The fintech then makes a request to connect, kind of like a dating platform, but for corporates, really. And then if that connection request is accepted, then the fintech only pays a very small matching fee, maybe around £99, and we're looking at pricing at the moment. So effectively, we use AI. We've created a matching algorithm which connects fintechs with potential partners and also sources of investment based on common need or requirements.
Well, thank you so much for your insights, Greg.
Thank you, Joy.